Okay, guys, been kind of debating on how to do this video, and I think I finally come up with an idea. I've tried a couple different ways and just hadn't really got the results that I wanted. So I figured I would do a partial spin off of what I started my last video off with 2 Timothy 1:7, talking about fear, and do a thing, kind of a fear versus faith type setup. Now, what I've done, I've gone into the YouVersion Bible app, I searched faith, and obviously with fear, I come up with, I'm using the verse that like I said, 2 Timothy 1:7. Okay, so I already had that idea for fear. Now, what I have done with faith is I went to the YouVersion Bible app, I searched faith, and kind of did a quick once over the verses that come up with retaining the faith or has faith in them, and found a verse that I thought was kind of a opposite point. So you can see I did some scribbling. Some folks would call them notes. Looks like scribbles to me mostly, but what I come up with, first we're going to go through and do the fear again. Like I said, 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind, or depending on the version, self-discipline. That will be representing fear for this devotional thing. Now, for faith, what I had come up with was Ephesians 2:8, and that is, through grace you have been saved by faith, and this is not from yourselves, it is a gift of God. Now, in my own personal opinion, you could take the second half of the 2 Timothy verse, and you could erase all of that and say, just shorten the whole verse down to, that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but spirit of faith. But in the same sense, with the Ephesians verse, it kind of covers the second half of the 2 Timothy verse. And this is just my opinion, but it does hit a point that faith doesn't come from yourself. It is a gift of God. But we'll leave that there. But I figured I made some little points, my little note things, that I figured I could cover on this. Now, before we get too deep into this, I am going to say, verses are just a small piece of the picture. People tend to take a Bible verse and swing it around like it's a baseball bat, but in all reality, if you're looking at a picture, we'll take Mona Lisa, the famous Mona Lisa for one. A lot of people would focus on Mona Lisa's beautiful smile. In all reality, it's a beautiful painting altogether, but if you only look at the smile, you're not going to see the rest of the painting. So if you only read the verse, you're not going to see the actual point of what's being said here. Now, I'm just taking these verses and using them for kind of a inspirational, devotional type. I don't know how to word it. I'm not that smart of a man, but that's all I'm doing. What I say is strictly what I see out of just these two things. Just like a Mona Lisa smile, you're going to see two lip, an upper and lower lip, and not a lot to see there. You're just going to see it, something small that people think's beautiful. But like I said, check it out. look deeper, look at the whole picture before you just go off of the verses and take it as gospel. So, now when we start, like I said, I did some notes, and when we start, don't take this like as gospel with the verses. Look at the whole picture before, take what I say as gospel. But this is really what I get out of the second Timothy verse. And like I said, you can almost split the 2 Timothy verse as a fear versus faith by itself. But I figured, in all fairness, I could throw in the second little verse to kind of have a counteractive. But we'll get started with the sound mind and self-discipline setup. Alright? If you live in fear, it's going to tend to be a boat anchor to you. It's going to hold you back from doing what you could possibly be doing. And on the opposite side of things, faith will pull you through, knowing that God is with you. We do a lot with scouts, Boy Scouting and stuff, and you always gotta have a buddy system when you go anywhere. And with this buddy system, with being a Christian, you gotta remember, you always got God with you. So you shouldn't have a reason to be scared to do anything. So you'll end up, when you have faith that you're not gonna screw up, pretty much, nothing bad's gonna happen, you're gonna go forward, not backwards. So that's kind of my take on that section. Again, I'm not saying this is gospel. This ain't set in concrete. You can read it and see it's something different, but that's kind of where I'm at on this, and we'll move on to the next part. And just so you guys know, we're not doing this in order. You guys might notice I'm kind of mixed it up a little bit. That's just how, when I started my notes on the fear side of things, it's just how it came out, and ended up whenever I did it on the other side, I just kind of tried my best to match up to what I wrote on the fear side. So bear with me here. Another characteristic of fear in my opinion, is destruction. People, when they get in fear, they tend to panic, and they act irrationally, do things, sometimes they get violent. I would say it has caused wars in the past, between countries. But on the faith side, you can see your strength and power. And I will say this, you could almost put the destruction and mix it in with strength, what I just said about the destruction, and compare that to the strength and love section of the last half. We'll just pair that with the strength and power. When you have the strength and power of faith, you overcome the fear. And I know that's kind of a cheesy way of putting it, but it's true. You're going to typically step out of your comfort zone and do things that you wouldn't normally do. And when you're out of that comfort zone and you're doing it in faith, you're typically, I'm not going to say being nervous isn't going to happen or being questionable, because honestly, fear typically comes from not knowing. That's truthful. But you will overcome things and move ahead. And we're going to, like I said, some of this is going to mix together. So, like I said, bear with me here. But your strength and power and faith will help you overcome, possible anger issues, differences, that type of thing that could lead to destructive things. Now, I know this is probably coming out as smooth as sandpaper from a mouth. Trust me, in my head, it sounded a whole lot smoother than what it does right now. But we'll move on to the next piece and try to get this a little bit smoother. And I'm hoping you guys bear with me on this. So we'll work it through. Now, the best idea I could come up with for fighting or being opposite of love, it would be distancing. And I know that might kind of sound a little weird, and it might make sense to some people, but when you typically when you fear, you will distance yourself from people. Some people have a fear of other people, whether it's because of their skin color, their religion, their belief, their looks. People tend to stay away from people like that. I've been to areas that, different ethnic cultures, and they see me come in there. I got my big bibs on, got my big beard, and I'm usually wearing boots. Southern accent, they'll kind of scurry away from me, but I the more mature in Christ that I get, the more I realize that I was that type of person too, to where I would, if I was in a different area, I would try to avoid people that look different than me, talk different. Now I kind of, and I'm not trying to get self-centered here, but I kind of try to get along with those people now. Sometimes it's hard to get along with somebody you don't understand. Trust me. Sometimes I don't understand myself. But, people, you'll distance yourself out of fear. Or love, like I said, you tend to move the camera a little bit. You'll tend to want to, I won't necessarily say it's something that you want to do. Sometimes it's just something that comes naturally. But you'll find yourself pulling towards people that you wouldn't normally find yourself going towards, to, even if it's just to have a simple conversation. It's one of those deals. You're going to, out of faith and love, you're going to go out and you're going to help people that you wouldn't normally help. You're going to just talk to them. Like I said, out of fear, you're going to separate. Love's going to typically try to bring you in. You love your family. If that's the case, you typically don't try to avoid your family. You hate your family. Kids typically run away from home. Either they hate their family or they're scared of their family. But if they have a loving home, they usually stay there. So that's just kind of my 3 points on that, on right there. Like I said, I'm taking 2 Bible verses. The one I've already mentioned before, 2 Timothy 1:7, and the other one will be Ephesians 2:8, and to me this would be a fear versus faith opposite type setup. I didn't go through and study Ephesians, what was being said before, what was being said after. I just took a small glimpse. I guess you could basically compare, like, I mentioned earlier, if you just take a verse, you're just looking at a small piece of the picture, kind of like Mona Lisa's smile. So what you got here would be like the Rolling Stones' lips on one side and the Mona Lisa smile on the other. I know that's kind of a silly comparison, but you don't see the whole picture with just that little bit. So I encourage you, and I'm going to go through and read Ephesians 2. Now I might even go back even further and read 1, and then read 2 again, and then read 3. But I need to go through myself and find out what's going on in the bigger picture with Ephesians. I'll admit that's a book I haven't really been in very much. But like I said, we're part of the self-discipline part of 2 Timothy would be going in and praying and researching, reading the Bible. The technology's out there. You got, I'd say, at least thousands of YouTube videos to research different things. This YouVersion Bible app has a lot of different videos and resources to research different things to learn. But building your knowledge in the Bible will help grow your faith. Like I said, this self-discipline thing. You could really take this second half of 2 Timothy and reverse it and get an order. Basically, to me, the order to help your faith would start with the self-discipline, the love, and then you'll see the strength and power. But I'm going to close it out that. Let me know what you think in the comment section. If you like it, like it. If you want to see more, subscribe. I don't know. I guess you can put it in notifications, and when I post a video, it will pop up. I'm going to try to do more of these videos. Like I said, if you're in a previous video I done like this, if you don't want to, if you're not a believer, you're more than welcome. I encourage you to watch the video. I encourage you to look up people that know a lot more than I do. Sorry about that, but keep the hateful comments out if you would, please. That's my biggest request. I don't want hateful comments in my comment section. But I'm gonna leave it at that. God bless you guys. We'll catch you later.